Hello everyone, this is Tripper, and today we are playing some Chivalry Medieval Warfare. What are you? What is...
I am Maul Cop.
But
Hello.
You don't look like a Maul Cop.
Yeah, well, Maul Cop is on patrol, buddy.
Don't eat me.
Oh, I won't. I don't have a Maul yet.
No, yeah. He does not have a Maul. Well, whilst he is an utter killing machine with a Maul, he is fantastic with his Y-hander as well. We're not just here to banter. However, Maul Cop, why are we here?
I am here to show some basic mechanics for those of you who are frustrated with the game and better players.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh, sorry for interrupting
No,
you.
no, please, go ahead. I interrupted you.
Okay. I was going to say, this will very much aid the, so to speak, people who are having trouble with the game and understanding very basic mechanics. Because once you understand basic mechanics, you're going to have a lot easier time on defending against those mechanics being used against you.
Yeah. What he said.
All right, you just want to jump right into it?
Yeah, hell yeah. First and foremost, however, we're going to be talking about tracers. And the first thing you guys have to know about tracers is what the hell they are. And I'm going to show you guys how to turn them on. Maul Cop probably going to do the same. You got to open up your console with that there tilde key in the very top left-hand corner of your keyboard. And you got to type in what you see right there. AOC _ draw tracer space 1 ba-bam. And then you get all these pretty rainbow lines whenever you attack with your weapon. It's pretty. I like it. And what's the significance of these, Maul Cop?
The significance of these is your weapon trajectory and how your weapon travels through the air. And it can be molded, almost, because this is one of the only games, like I like to say, has a semi-animation or a malleable animation. And malleable animation, what I mean by that is that the animation with your arms and your shoulders and your sword itself is set. There is no way to change it. You cannot actually speed up the attack. You cannot actually slow it down. However, you can fool people into thinking that you are. And by that, by the semi, I suppose, means that you can bend at the hips. You're not stuck in place. You can move. And by moving, you change the attack. And by changing the attack, what that's formally called is a drag. By dragging your attack, you can either accelerate your attack or decelerate your attack.
Yeah, that about sums it up.
And basically, what tracers do, it just kind of keeps track of... It's the server's way of keeping track of your attack and its trajectory.
Yeah.
And each weapon has its own tracer.
Yeah. We're using the Zweihander, which has
Yeah, the Zweihander is very easy.
Absolutely immense tracer. It's fucking huge. Look at this shit. It's like freaking bonsai or whatever. It's immense, but every weapon has their own individually sized tracer, you know, their own details.
And each can be learned. And a lot of times, the more time you spend in this game, you learn it naturally almost. So that way I kind of know my natural distance from him. So I just missed him right there. And this tracer, you can see, with a left mouse button or an alternate left mouse button, are both very different because they travel through the air very differently. While this kind of tips up a little bit, you can actually miss someone's head if you aim for their head with a regular left mouse button, which even Tripper on his end can actually demonstrate. It's a bit strange, and there is an arc that your weapon follows.
Yeah.
It follows a J almost. Wow, it's about the server about to restart. OP, but
magical.
I can kill dead air.
It's a J.
Yes, the J really helps you picture how it's traveling, with the start of the J starting behind your head almost every single time, with an overhead and ending by your knee.
Yes.
Your left knee,
right
too.
there.
And that is very important because it ends outside of the distance of about, I don't know, in-game, like a couple inches outside your knee, I suppose. And with this J, it can be not necessarily abused, but because it was meant to be in this game. But this J you can use to hit somebody while you're not actually looking at them, which is kind of dirty. Yes. But you can use it to hit around their blocks. You can use it to do quite a lot of things, which is why a lot of people are frustrated with players who hit around their blocks, because they don't understand that there's a weapon J, which even a lot of players who do these attacks don't even know this. Or they understand how to perform these magical-looking weapon drags. but they don't understand the inner workings of it. And once you understand the inner workings of it, it's very important. Now,
Absolutely.
this J can hit him while I'm standing right here behind the knee while I'm not even looking at him. Much like that. You can see as it curved in. And you could do something where you look at him and then curve it out yourself, where it'll kind of make almost a U cupping his body and still hitting him in the back of the knee. Where they originally thought it was going to hit them in the head, so therefore you naturally block earlier, and by blocking earlier, what you accomplish is you make them, well, you force a parry out of them. So you're forcing them to parry, and you're trying to buy enough time to get around their parry. Does that about cover it, you think?
Absolutely, yeah. Give me one more good hit. Let's try to show that.
All right. Then you can perform it on me, so people on your end can see it. You just kind of want to look a little bit to the right of their head, maybe a little bit, twice
you did it pretty
the
well,
distance of their head, twice, 2.5 times
probably
the distance of their head.
This is one head, another head, another head. Yeah. And then go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I'll do it. Okay.
Yeah, you go ahead.
And bada bing, bada boom. That hit him right in the back of the leg.
You should be able to see the slice in the back of my leg.
Yeah, absolutely. It might look like it's on the side, but the you can see with the tracer there, a little blue crickety crack. That's where that was going on. You go ahead and do it to me.
All right. Well, as you can see, it'll just the tip of the blade will hit him right in the back of the leg, which doesn't do much damage because there are certain body parts that do more damage and less damage. While the leg is not very much damage, you will damage them, and you'll have damage that you didn't have before. And when you strike somebody, you do not lose stamina. But when they parry your attack when it's struck, you will lose stamina, and so will they. So, well, I'm not saying don't parry an attack. I'm definitely saying that. I'm saying that any attack or any hit on them is an advantage that you didn't have. So sometimes it's better to take the initiative and attack them while one player is playing passively and hit around their block or attempt to and hit them in the leg. While you can even accelerate your attack by from this angle going, turning, and striking their head.
Yeah.
All you're doing is increasing the area or decreasing the area that you have in the actual weapon animation, the swing. So you can go ahead and demonstrate that to Ripper.
Yeah. So it's not so much a drag in a technical terms. We just think of it as a drag. It's really more of a repositioning of the blade. Yeah. Am I right in saying that?
Yes. And the best part, the reason why I call these foot drags is because you don't even have to move your mouse to perform these. All you have to do is simply move your feet.
Move your feet. Yeah.
And even while you attack in a certain area, you can see this kind of made a cup. It kind of cusps right here. And all you have to do is move, say, if you're in a fight and you're on this side, just move to that side and then move back in if you think you're going to miss. So it's kind of crazy looking, but it's very simple. And it's very easy to perform.
Yeah. This massive arc ends in it hitting him right in the back. This little flat bit hit him right in the back of the leg. And that's how you want to do it.
You can easily aim for something like the neck, which will do quite a lot of damage and possibly decapitate.
Yeah.
And there's the... that's enough for the overhead, I suppose. I guess we'll move on to the left mouse button. So the left mouse button is kind of the same idea. With a regular left mouse button, as you can see if you paid attention, the tip of his blade actually went up. It's
weird.
If you're aiming in a strange place, like at the top of their head, and you're a bit of distance away, you'll miss them. You will miss them, and it'll look strange. But with an alternate left mouse button, to perform, all you have to do is hit Alt, your left Alt, and left mouse button, obviously. And once you do that, it actually has a straight and flat trajectory. More or less. It's not perfect, but it's a lot better.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of a hint in general. I need to get some health real quick.
Yes.
There we go. And you can also do foot drags on the same idea. This is where you can accelerate the attacks a lot easier, because all you do to accelerate this attack is left mouse button and walk to the left. And basically, you're just intervening the point of the attack earlier in this J, because this is still kind of a J-looking figure while you're moving.
Actually, yeah, I didn't even. I shouldn't have even had to do that. I just needed to. Yeah.
So yeah,
move.
As you can see, what he did right there, with this J, you can actually attack people behind you. So it's such a large area you can attack people even behind you, so you don't have to be facing them perfectly every time you attack them, which sometimes will even help if you don't face them, because players who are level 4 and 5 would normally think that you have to face somebody to hit them, when honestly, if he's standing right here, I can hit him while he's over there, off of my screen, because this weapon is so large.
Yep.
But all you have to do to decelerate this is, if he was standing still, you just walk in the opposite direction that your swing is traveling. So much like this. And as you can see, that was very close to his back, but you just don't walk as much. And then I'll strike him in the back.
Absolutely.
And in the back, it does even more damage because it's in the spine.
Oh.
And he can perform this. Just 1 second.
Yep, just like that. You just swing it all around.
Yeah. You honestly don't really even have to move your mouse whatsoever to do this, which makes it very easy to do, which is why I would suggest this being the first kind of drags you learn, which is the accelerated this way and the decelerated this way. And honestly, I can even beat some better players because they don't realize the positioning on your screen. And the way you want to position somebody is that if you want to decelerate a drag, you want them to be as far as possible from your blade already. So look at your screen, and there's a crosshair in the middle that is a little dot, and you split your screen into a quadrant in 4 sides. You want them to be on the left side of your screen when you want to decelerate, because it makes it easier. You just walk a little tiny bit and you can hit them. And then if you want to accelerate, you just put them on the right side of your screen, and then you walk through them, which I would suggest A and W, which would speed it up even more than just A, which is walking just to your left, which he can perform if he wanted to show people on his end.
Oh yeah, that
was the weird weapon tracer.
Literally tinked right over your head. Yeah, you need to aim a tiny bit lower than their head with the Zwei overhead. Yeah, if I did that
at the top of their chest, right about.
Same exact thing. Hold on. Just like that.
There you go. As you can see, he did quite a lot of damage to me because he actually struck me in the head.
Yeah.
Which is the perk of hitting him in the head. But honestly, if he tries to hit me in the head, I can do a thing where I can just evade his strike, which is why you kind of want to aim right around, the
chest.
The chest. I would say the lower chest. The
lower
belly
chest?
Button is,
Yeah.
The belly button is around where you get the most range of your attack.
Gotcha.
Because there's an attack circle around you.
Yeah, absolutely. Gives you
So
this
something like a
huge
stab, say, if he stood right there, which I'm not actually 100% familiar with this, I wouldn't hit him right there, but I want to hit him right. Well, that actually went through him, which is kind of weird. But if he stood right there, I can't hit him in the face, but I should be able to hit him in the arm, which you can see should have hit him in the arm, but actually that was less than an inch. So something like that, and there you go. That's what I mean.
Nice.
It's because also certain body parts actually stick out a bit longer. So if you're aiming for the head, you have to be a bit closer, actually.
Yes.
While if you're aiming for the shoulder, the elbow, or the knee, they actually don't have to be quite as close.
Especially if you do some crazy stuff like try to LMB me.
Yeah.
Like that. Good old-fashioned Matrix.
Yeah. Which it's a topic for another video.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Matrixing is quite in depth, and when you should do it, when you shouldn't do it, how to do it, stuff like that.
Certainly. Something to keep in mind, though.
And the idea behind a weapon drag is that you're just basically fooling the subconscious mind of them, which generally they like to think people who play consciously are better players when you think what attack is going to be next and what you're going to perform next and how you're going to perform it, and if something goes wrong, what you're going to do about that. Which, this seems very in-depth, but this is the best way to play. And especially because this is a saying that I told Ripper earlier before we started recording, was that perfect practice makes perfect performance.
Yeah. Absolutely. And
so don't practice wrong, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you start by practicing correctly, is what he's saying, then you can't get it wrong, basically. Making mistakes is great because you learn from them, why not simply learn it right the first time and then just do it right from then on? That I think is the most ideal way to do it.
Yes. And honestly, you can learn by, say, somebody did something to you, like the foot drag right here. How are you going to counter that? How are you possibly going to counter that? Well, you can see the tracer is that all you have to do is this. If he's doing that, you could just walk out of the range of his attack because of the J of his weapon, if he's trying to do that.
Exactly.
Also, alternatively, if you wanted to play more aggressively, you walk into his attack, or you could sprint into his attack if he's trying to drag. So go ahead and try.
Ooh.
Now, I caused the attack to strike earlier, which at sometimes, if they aren't paying attention, will throw them off. And then you then have initiative of attack. An initiative attack just means you have the ability to attack without them being able to defend for a very, very minute period of time. And as you see, actually, when he looked down right there, it will do kind of the overhead J, and you can miss somebody by trying to accelerate the attack by looking down, which will cause them to hit the J earlier on, which is still very valid.
Maul was just standing right here, and I tried to accelerate it over him, and you guys can see with the tracers there, it literally went right next to him. So you got to be very careful when you're doing that kind of accelerate, when you're doing that kind of foot drag, in that you are aware of where your weapon is.
And foot drags, honestly, a lot of times really help teach a thing called footwork, where you use your feet in combat, because it's combat, what I like to say, is a lot like a dance. Because you want to keep equidistant from where you were. And as you notice, if he just walks straight towards me and I backpedal, which is just walking backwards, he will actually catch up to me. Now, how are you going to solve that problem? You could just simply turn and run. And when you're sprinting and he's walking, he can't catch you. And then once you have distance, you can regenerate your health and stamina. But honestly, it's generally when after you parry. So go ahead and parry. Well, go ahead and feed me a parry. So now, after that, as you can see, I turn and ran. That's the only time you should turn and run, unless you're out of range of them. And that's the reason why, is because there's 3 stages to an attack, which I wanted to get onto earlier, but the 3 stages of the attack, which will lead into another video, is the warm-up, the attack itself, and the cooldown. And the warm-up is, you can't hit anybody. It's when you're putting your weapon up. The attack itself, which after this audible grunt sound he makes, which you can hear right there. And after the cooldown, you can't parry for a very short amount of time, which you could spam parry, but you cannot parry for a very brief amount of time, which means he also can't attack for a very brief amount of time, which is why you want to turn and disengage from combat then. That's why I wanted to get onto that 3-weapon stage. But as we're getting slightly off topic, that is kind of the idea of the weapon drags, and honestly, the stabs do not work very well unless you turn them with your mouse, which is possible. And there's a thing that people call a Z stab, which you kind of make a Z with your mouse movement. So if you just stood still,
go ahead.
You just kind of want to basically start over here and end right there, which is not necessarily a Z. It's more of a U, actually. You want to kind of circle them almost, where it's a conical shape that you want to make. Whoops. Yeah, that's fine. And when you make that conical shape, I'm dead. When you make that conical shape, it delays your attack. And when you delay your attack, you're not actually decreasing your weapon speed. The weapon speed is always constant. That is something to remember. The weapon speed is always constant. You just fool people into thinking differently. And what you do is you just simply wait until towards the end of the attack to actually strike them, but you want to make it appear that you're going to strike them earlier, which is the idea of the foot drag, where you started as an XL in the XL location and you ended in the decelerated location, which he could perform if he wanted to show on his end. So he was in the accelerated location, which he was on this side, and I'm on the accelerated location of him as well, and all he did was simply change sides.
Yeah, I didn't have to move my mouse. Barely at all. Which is
the greatest part about foot drags, is because anybody can perform them, like I said earlier. And they're very simple and they're very easy to understand, and once you learn these and perfect these to a pretty good extent, which people will parry these, yes, because once he parries the parry box, there is a box, there is not weapon collision, it's quite large, and when he parries, this tip of his sword will actually go to the opposite side of his body, making drags quite hard. So accelerated attacks is a lot better for newer players. And also defense, which is you want to block as many attacks as possible. So
absolutely.
Do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, that's fantastic. But just a couple corollaries. First and foremost, I just remembered, I should have done this at the beginning of the video when we first mentioned it. I've talked about foot drags in the past in a different respect as they are referenced in terms of waterfalls, which I sometimes make that mistake of calling waterfalls foot drags. We're talking about foot drags in terms of drags that you can do by only moving your feet, where I just walk right past him, swoop, and I can still hit him. Or I walk past him this way and accelerate something. So it's a drag that you can do just with your feet, not moving your mouse, and effectively, what Maul Cop just basically said, but just to reiterate, is that if you learn how to do a proper foot drag, it doesn't matter if you are able to kill someone with them, but if you learn how to hit with them and do things with them, and know where your weapon is in the tracer, know what's happening in that respect, then normal drags should be easy to understand.
I think that is a perfect explanation. The normal drags, which will be in a different video, where I would say they're slightly more advanced, because this is very basic drags, will be things like reverse overheads and accelerated left mouse buttons to whether they're behind you. And because you can study, honestly, you could easily just study the weapon tracer and you could realize where they are behind you, and you can learn how to position them perfectly. And if you're going to start a drag, you want to start the attack before you start moving, which is very, very important, because you do not want to telegraph your attack. You don't want them to know what attack is coming, because if they know what attack is coming, they're going to parry it.
Yeah.
So the less they know, the better, which is what you're trying to do. You're trying to do as much as possible with the least amount of information being given as possible. I think that's a pretty fair explanation.
Yeah, I can absolutely say that myself. And a lot of little tidbits in that and throughout the rest, like the 3 stages of the attack, I think we would certainly be better served to make a whole nother video about them.
Yes.
But hopefully this gives you guys some idea of what a foot drag is, how to master them, begin practicing them yourselves, and once you do so, start actually working on like full drags, reverses, and I guarantee you'll have an easier time with them.
And this will definitely help you become a better player and stand a chance to those people with golden helmets and whatnot. Those dirty bastards who are really good at this game for no reason because they drop a significant amount of hours in this game. But yeah, this will be basically a prelude into another video, which will 100% really aid in the idea of regular drags, because you use foot drags in regular drags as well. So there's the prelude for you. There's a little segue to the next video whenever that's going to happen. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think this is very productive. Why don't we end it out with a duel, eh?
Alrighty. If you wish.
You're
going to see some more advanced stuff from me, but
you're going to see some really bad stuff from me. Oh, God. I'm good.
You see, that's the idea of ducking his attacks, because he was aiming a little too high.
Yep.
And there you go. I guess that was the perfect show for...
I could certainly agree. Just kind of wet your guys' whistle. Maul's got a lot of tricks up his sleeve.
There's a lot of stuff you can do, which I am thankful for the gratuitous compliments from his part. He's also quite a good player, I would say so. He understands what he's doing. He has an understanding of what he's doing.
I understand what I'm doing. Yes. However, I don't. To say that is to say I still don't know what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing.
You know what you should be doing.
Exactly.
Which is the best part.
I still
as long as you know what you should be doing, you're good.
I digress. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think this has been great. I hope you guys learned something from it.
Thank you for joining me on both sides.
Thank you for joining me. Absolutely. Thank you guys for watching. As always, have a grand day. Maul Cop, it's been grand.
It has.
See you guys later.